Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Rick's poll question coming up in a bit, but right now, time for one of our two guests of the day before we get to Jeff Paterson. Brian and Prince George into the Delaney's OK Tire and Langley inbox. Brian paying attention. After the first two periods, I was texting friends about winning the draft lottery.
Yeah.
I have put that on hold. Again, Brian up there in Prince George. A lot of people felt the same way. I read my notes.
We did. We were group texting. I'm not going to lie to you. I got a million texts last night say, fire the coach, fire the GM, fire this guy, fire that guy. And then after the game, oh, what a great win.
Jeff Paterson joining us now from Sekeres and Price in the wake of the Canucks 3-2 overtime win over the Rangers. Jeff, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Donnie. I'm still buzzing. That was fun. Fun return to Rogers Arena last night.
Absolutely.
How do you explain that third period and overtime?
Yeah, and I have to admit, like, I was having those conversations with the guys along press row as well. After 40 minutes, we were watching when the buzzer sounded after two periods. There was a smattering of boos. They're down 2-0. We've seen this movie way too often on the homestand. And so I don't know. Nobody after the game wanted to cop to Travis Green pulling out a Newt Rockne and kicking over garbage cans and those types of things. I don't think that happens in today's NHL. Whatever the case, I think the Canucks just recognized that they had to have that win. They needed a result. 3 straight losses on home ice, the lack of goals, the lack of excitement. And quite frankly, it was nice to see best players step up. Yes. And there's still room for Paterson and Besser and some others. But last night, JT Miller looked a lot like first-year JT Miller when he was traded to the Vancouver Canucks. Kind of took that game on his back. 2 goals, 7 shots. Set up Paterson on that 2-on-1 late in the second period. Paterson hit the crossbar there. So JT Miller was all over the ice and all around the puck and had that great chance as well in the power play in the third period. Still not sure how he didn't convert there. But end of the night, they needed goals. They needed a result. And good on them. They dug down. It's a tough league. Nobody's going to feel sorry for them. Nobody's going to throw them a lifeline. You got to go out there and earn it yourself. And I thought they did that in the final 20 minutes and I guess 22 minutes if you include overtime.
So much hype coming in about the Rangers and Igor Shesterkin. Do you think Thatcher Demko was at the very least his equal last night?
Thatcher Demko has been incredible. 10 games in. He hasn't played them all. He's played 8 of them, but he's been busy. He's been very good. I think there have been nights where he has been better start to finish or maybe relied on more. When I think of the second period in Seattle at the tail end of the road trip, he was lights out good, but he has just been so consistent. Like, he is dialed in. He's got his game to a level that the Vancouver Canucks need from a legitimate number 1 in the National Hockey League. But that sequence, come on. We're going to be talking about that thing for years to come. It was that good. And, guys, I can tell you the roar in the building as loud as I can remember in a while. And obviously there were no fans in the building last year. So it's you got to go back a ways to sort of find a baseline to measure it against. But people were excited with the first goal and then Podkolzin scoring. That got them out of their seats. But when Demko went rogue there without his equipment, the yard sale to make the save, in a 2-2 tie, they had come back to get back on even terms. Like, it was such a pivotal point in the hockey game. And using any and all devices available to him, except for his blocker, I suppose, to keep the puck out. Just an incredible sequence, and the responding reaction from the fans was incredible.
Well, Jeff, you can't blame Newell Brown anymore, okay? But what is going on with the power play? 0 for 6 last night. What's it going to take to get these guys to turn it around?
Yeah, and I think it was just, the point was driven home more so that the Rangers took 3 seconds to score their second goal. The power play here, the Canucks just struggling and scuffling to generate anything. They can't do it. They're banging their head against the wall, and then the Rangers get a penalty, and 3 seconds later, it's a 2-0 hockey game. So game can be funny that way. You know what? I thought in the second period, I thought they generated some looks, and ultimately it's a bottom line, and the standard can't be so low that you're okay with them just generating looks. It's an NHL power play. They should be generating looks, but I think sometimes if your power play is not scoring, you want it to at least create momentum that you can then sustain. They had enough chances, obviously, 5 power plays in that second period, 12 full minutes on the night. So, we saw Travis Green make some switches. OEL got the number 1 point spot instead of Quinn Hughes. didn't think it was Quinn Hughes' best game, and I thought it was the right move. And we saw that earlier in the season where they made that switch. We saw Besser get a chance with the top unit. Chason came off at times. It's getting to the point, and people along press row were suggesting, like, why not just put Tyler Myers in front of the net? Like, we've seen teams use Chara in that regard. Like, you're
Something
just throwing
different.
anything against the wall. But honestly, with the way the power play has struggled, especially in these games where a power play goal against Minnesota or Philadelphia or the Oilers the other night, it could have got them into overtime where they could have got something out of those games. Instead, they settled for nothing. And so the power play didn't come through for them last night. It is an area of concern. There's no question. But I think for this day, at the very least, the storyline is more about what this team did to persevere, to overcome, to get a result. And Friday's another day that they can try to figure out this power play.
We haven't mentioned Donnie and I this morning at all. Travis Hamonic, first game, paired up with Shen. I love the size on that pair. Your thoughts on Hamonic in his first game?
Yeah, Rick, you know what? All things considered, full credit to him. I quite frankly was surprised that he was back with the big league team as quickly as he was when he showed up at practice on Monday. And then at the morning skate yesterday, Travis Green wouldn't tip his hand, but every indication was that, this guy who obviously we know the backstory was going to step into the NHL and play again. And remember, last year, he didn't have a training camp. There was no preseason, and he joined the team, signed with them on the first day of the regular season. And I thought he really struggled out of the gate last year before he got hurt. And so he had the benefit of being a Canuck last year. He had worked with a lot of these players. He had worked with Travis Green in the systems. I think that helped. And I just think he relied on his veteran savvy, but he played more than I expected. He played, some penalty killing time as well. And I think, and the fact that they won the hockey game, you got to give him certainly a passing grade, if not better than that. I think all things considered, the amount that he played, the way that he played, that was a pretty good start for Travis Hamonic, certainly better than I had anticipated, just because it's not an easy league to step into. He knows that, but I thought he played within himself. They're not looking for him to be a star. He's certainly not there to generate offense. It's just sort of play that safe, simple game, and I think he did that for them last night.
Yep. And quickly, Jeff, just over 7 minutes for Vasily Podkolzin. Was that enough for you?
You know what? I'm okay with the way Travis Green's handling him. I get people are looking at Chason's ice time. You have to remember that there was a ton of power play time, and that's going to bump up a guy like Chason. But, this is progress last night. There have been third periods where Travis Green hasn't played Podkolzin. They were trailing, and they put him out there in a situation. He comes through. I hope that this is sort of a two-way street, that, Vasily Podkolzin made the most of his opportunity last night. And maybe Travis Green will now recognize that, hey, this guy does generate some offense. He represents the idea of scoring a big goal when this hockey club needs it. We've seen in other games where, Lamico or Highmore are getting third period shifts. Those guys don't generate a lot of offense. Here's Podkolzin now. It's 2 goals. That's 1 more than Elias Paterson. It's as many as Brock Besser. It's 2 more than Nils Höglander. And I hope that he continues to build, but I get the idea of Travis Green bringing him along slowly. And also you have to remember that second period, so much special team time both ways. He's not a special teamer. It is going to keep his ice time down a little bit.
Yeah, not at this point anyway. Jeff, thanks so much for this. Appreciate it. Talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Thank you.